kind of happens. All right, there we go. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today on Teslanomics Live. I am your host, Ben Sullins, and what we're going to do today is take a look at the biggest Tesla news from the previous week. I'll answer some of your questions for the folks that are joining me on Crowdcast, and this will run about an hour or so, depending. And if you're watching this after the fact, then you can go ahead and skip to whichever news story you're interested in by checking in the comments down below in the YouTube comments and finding the story with the timestamp next to it. I put that in there just a few minutes after it posts. So that way you don't have to kind of sit through the entire thing if you're not interested in everything we have to talk about. So first and foremost, some of the fun stuff to talk about today is related to the Tesla semi-truck unveil. So I'm going to share my screen here on Crowdcast. Let's see, I think this will be the one. And yep, I'm going to switch over to that. And then I'll get it going on YouTube as well. Okay, cool. So there you have it. And let me adjust my camera just a bit. All right. So Elon tweeted this out. What was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday around 1:30 p.m. that the Tesla semi-truck unveil will be webcast live on Thursday. So I'm not going to be live streaming while there, but I will have two cameras, myself and a filmer with me. We're going to be doing first impressions. We're going to be doing as much detail shots as we can get, as much as we can find out to share with you guys here on the channel. So I'll actually try to post my first impressions kind of experience of it that night. And then the vlog will probably be the following week because it takes a little bit longer to piece those together. That'll be kind of behind the scenes, what the event was like, not so much about the truck. And then maybe after it, a follow-up on it. I just wanted to share this. I thought this was kind of a funny thing. It'll blow your mind clear out of your skull to an alternate dimension. Just need to find my portal gun. So this alludes to possibly the big surprise that Elon has been hinting at, and some people this has led them to believe that they will also offer, or that they will also unveil a regular pickup truck. Or even another commercial truck is another option I've seen people talking about online. And with that, I'm actually I don't think that's really what it's going to be. Other people have said the Roadster. I would love that. That would be incredible. Again, I don't think that's it. I think it's going to be a supercharger V3, which has an insane amount of speed to charge a truck. Obviously, the batteries on these things are going to be pretty beefy, and so in order to charge that, it would make sense that at this time you would also unveil a new supercharger. Now, if that's true, then it would make sense for them to also announce maybe upgrades for the Model 3 or the Model S and X that would be able to then use this new charger, assuming that the current chargers built into the cars would not support that. If they did, that would be fantastic, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of limitation there. So yes, I'm going to the event. It's this Thursday, just a couple days away. Myself and a bunch of other Tesla tubers are getting together in advance of that. So we'll be, possibly live streaming from there, whatever. Send me your questions, thoughts. Twitter is the best place to reach me. I'll do my best to do my Casey Neistat impression and vlog the event well as kind of investigate and figure out what I can about any of the details or any of the cool shots. So stay tuned for that. This is going to be a big week. And as such, I won't be publishing my normal Wednesday video. It'll be a Thursday night or Friday morning video instead of the event because I don't want to publish another video and then 2 days later have a much more exciting video come out. So stay tuned for that. And also, I guess if you're watching this after the fact, leave me your comments about what you thought it might be and if you think we guessed right. So we'll find out there. And then Teslarati, of course, did a cool thing. And the only reason I'm showing this is because of this artist rendering of the truck. I think is pretty amazing. One difference about this truck, and I did a video on this just recently, is that this rendering you're seeing on the screen here appears to have a sleeper cabin, which I do not believe it will have. And that was from somebody from Ryder Systems, which is a trucking company. I think they're based out of Florida. They said they met with them and the range would be 200 to 300 miles, which means that they wouldn't have the actual sleeper sleeper cabin available. So that's kind of what's going on there. And I am trying to look on YouTube here. Okay, let me know if you guys. It looks like you guys can hear me and everything. Just want to double check. It's really hard with like multiple streams going on, so apologies for that. Okay, so one thing I do on this show is I have something called my long and my short. Now, the long is the thing that I'm long on. If you're not familiar with that term, it's something that we use in markets, in the economy, to talk about something you like. And for me, I am really liking the new Senate tax plan that does not kill the EV tax credit. If you recall, just a week ago, maybe, the Republican House plan, House of Representatives here in the United States, one of the branches of Congress, their new tax reform would essentially remove the electrical vehicle tax credit, the $7,500 credit. Now, the way the system kind of works is the Senate also comes up with theirs, and then they kind of come together to find a compromise, and eventually, if they both pass some reform, it'll go to the president to sign. So there's still a lot of hurdles and a lot of steps here, but this is really recent, and it just says the U.S. Senate tax reform proposal unveiled on Thursday does not eliminate a $7,500 electric vehicle tax credit, as Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives have proposed. So I've talked about this before, and people, you can disagree with me. That's fine. My thoughts are that even if they do remove this, it would be it would be a much bigger hit to General Motors and to Nissan and to other folks that make EVs that are not Teslas. And the reason I say that is because people are going to buy the Model 3 regardless. It is a game changer when it comes to not just electric cars, but cars in general. And so I'm not really too worried about this in terms of for Tesla. I think as someone that may potentially benefit from this by getting my Model 3 soon and buying other EVs in the future, I do want the money as a citizen that could use that tax credit. But on the other hand, I don't really think it's a big problem for Tesla. So I'd love to know what you guys think. It really is interesting because when I think about the Model 3, some people maybe think of it as a budget vehicle. Maybe they want to compare it to like a Toyota Camry or something like that. I compare it more to the BMW 3 Series or the Mercedes-Benz C-Class. And that's where I think, somebody's already going to spend $40,000, $50,000 on a like entry-level luxury car. Then the Model 3, when you stack them up against there, is just way more amazing. So much more kind of better looking and so much more great tech involved. Not everyone will enjoy it, right? I think Beamers and Audis and Mercedes are fantastic cars, but I'm much more of a tech guy. So for me, the Model 3 is it. So I don't think it would really have that big of an impact, but hopefully whatever does get passed eventually, if something even gets passed, the current Congress really hasn't been able to push any of their major stuff through. Hopefully if they do, it would be it wouldn't include killing the tax credit, and that would live on. Now, the show doesn't talk about politics, but we do talk about economics, and so part of the reason that I'm not really optimistic that this will pass is because the CBO, the people that score these things in terms of what it means for the economy and all that, said that it would the GOP tax cut, the House one, would add $1.7 trillion to the deficit. So the way it works is the deficit is essentially how much we're spending, how much more we're spending than we're bringing in, and if we don't pay for that added difference, then it will add to the debt. And so there's the deficit and the debt. Don't want to get too deep into the details there, but essentially the current tax plan would add a tremendous amount to the deficit, which means it's really unlikely that would go forward. So there definitely are going to be lots of changes to this, and I sincerely hope that the Senate version, which doesn't eliminate the EV tax credit, it also I think has some other protections for the solar industry. I hope that those provisions stay in because I think that that's the direction we need to be moving as a country. and these kind of things can have a major impact. Although that said, again, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal for Tesla, honestly. Some people wouldn't be able to afford a Model 3, and that's fine for them. They still would have hundreds of thousands of people lined up ready to buy it. So it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Nissan and GM and those guys would be much more hurt. Okay, next I want to talk about something that I'm going to chalk this up as a rumor, and it comes from Facebook. There's a group here, and this guy, Tony, posted a VIN number, and let me get the shot for you. It's a white Model 3. Where is it? There you go, with VIN 1090 on the end there. Now, people generally believe that the last 4, 5, 6 numbers are in reference to when the car was produced. And we believe this to be true because, it kind of has proven to be for the S and the X. Now, if this is right, then this totally contradicts a story from Electrek, which said that they only, got up to 440 units. So I'm a little, I'm a little skeptical, and I'm calling this a rumor. Yes, this is apparently a real photo of a Model 3, etc. But they may have changed the numbering, and so if that's true, then this may not represent the over 1,000 cars that have been produced. But if it does, then hallelujah, that means that we're hopefully entering that S-curve part of the ramp. And so there you go. I'm curious what you guys think. Leave me a comment about that. Are you 100% confident that this means that's the 1,000th car produced, or are you open that it could be something else? So this guy posted some cool photos on a Facebook group recently, and so you can kind of see what's going on there. So it looks great. Can't wait to get mine. Or maybe I can convince my wife to get it in white. I really like that color for cars, but she wants black. So there you have it. Now, with that, there was another post here that somebody caught this. Apparently, this was the Model 3 assembly line at the Fremont plant in action, and so they posted this on Jiffy, I think it was, or Giphy, whatever you guys want to call it. And so this could be related to a recent acquisition of, I think it's called Perbix, which is a company that supplies them with some of the machines that automate the assembly line. And so I'm curious about this, because if so, these are moving pretty quick there. Hopefully things are going to start happening soon. And as a personal interest, I cannot wait to see my own Model 3 and that whole experience there. So anyways, pretty exciting stuff going on there. Okay, next I want to talk about TeslaCon, and I've got a lot of questions about this. I'm sure there'll probably be some more in there. And I'll just give you a brief overview if you aren't familiar. Basically, the idea here is to bring the Tesla and EV community together in a way that really facilitates kind of those hallway conversations that you get in an in-person conference, make some connections, come up with new ideas, potentially find people to partner with from a business standpoint, and also get to interact directly with some of your favorite speakers. So I do have some updates about the agenda, which I will share here. But if you want, you can go get a 20% discount off of the ticket price by going to teslacon.online/shop and using the code TN20, which if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see on the screen there. Now, here are the updates about the agenda. We have and let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Still working on finalizing some of the details, but basically we're going to start off with a pre-conference workshop, and I've got a ton of people that have emailed me about this and are really excited. So Roger Pressman, who wrote the book, one of the books on the Model 3, which I'm holding here, he is going to go through this in kind of a more broad term. So it's not just totally specific to Model 3, but it will be for new EV owners. And it'll talk about setting up your personal charging infrastructure, how to drive more efficiently, what regenerative braking is, how it works, all those kind of things. So if you're new to owning a Tesla, like if you have a Model 3 reservation, for example, then this will save you a ton of time. I'm trying to figure all that stuff out. And the first 50 people that register, which, by the way, we're getting close to that number already, will get a free copy of that book. So there's that, right? So there's a lot going on. That's the pre-conference workshop. It'll last roughly 3 hours is what we're slated for. Chances are with Q&A and everything, it'll go, maybe closer to 4. But that is on December 15th. Then December 16th, this is the main conference. We're starting at 7 a.m. Pacific, and we're going to start with actually, this may or may not... if we get a lot of Spanish-speaking members, then we'll do this. Otherwise, we may just skip this version or maybe push up Robert's keynote. But we'll do a pre-conference session with Saul Lopez, who's another Tesla tuber who does a ton of great videos. He lives in Paris. He's from Spain, and most of his content's in Spanish. Then we'll have Robert Llewellyn, who, if you aren't familiar, is a famous actor and comedian. He has a great show on YouTube here called Fully Charged. And as well, if you're in the UK, you probably recognize him from the sci-fi show Red Dwarf. He also was on Scrap Heap Challenge, was it? And then Carpool, I think was another show he had. So anyways, Robert is a fantastic guy, and I just had a chat with him recently, and he is so thrilled to do this and to kind of bring the community together in this way. So this is going to be a real special occasion. Now, his session is about the transition from fossil fuel-based sources of energy to more renewable sources of energy, and he's going to be talking all about what he thinks that means for the world. And again, the reason why I think this online event is so special is because, first off, you can attend it from anywhere. You don't have to, say, fly to California and spend thousands of dollars on your hotel, your flight, your food, your transportation, all that stuff. You can, watch it from an iPad anywhere in the world that has an internet connection, of course. And you can ask questions of Robert as well as all of these speakers directly. That is an incredible feature. And the way it works, if you're new here, you'll see at the end when we do the Q&A on Crowdcast, is that it's community driven. People vote on the questions. So unlike the live events, if you're ever at an in-person conference, somebody that gets up there and asks a question could take 5 minutes on a completely random question that no one else cares about. And that sucks because it takes away that valuable time you have to interact directly with somebody that is, such a great speaker and so such a fun guy, Robert Llewellyn. So I think that this being an online event with features like that is more valuable than the in-person version. And as such, you're also going to get some exclusive content here that won't be available otherwise. So I think there's so many good ways. Also, it really saves you a ton of money compared to an in-person conference. We're going to be updating the website and some of those things, kind of breaking it down. But the back of the napkin math I did shows that this is about 5 times cheaper than attending an in-person conference of the same, assuming that the ticket price were the same. And of course, if it were an in-person conference with all these great speakers, it'd probably be at least double the price for that. So I think this is a great value and one that hopefully you guys do, or all the people that have already bought tickets are already kind of proving. So that's Robert Llewellyn's talk. That's kind of the pitch about TeslaCon. Then we'll have Saul Lopez talk about the chicken and the egg scenario about solving smog problems. We'll have Tesla road trip tips from Jesse and Zach from Now You Know. And then we'll have Trevor and Ken from Model 3 Owners Club really diving into what they know about the Model 3. Then we'll have a VIP session. This is where Kim's husband, who is on his shows, they're the one that have the channel called Like Tesla, is going to reveal his identity to 10 people. So the VIP session is very limited. Everyone else, this will be a time to grab a bite to eat. I'm still working on promo codes or discounts I can give from Uber Eats or Postmates or something like that. So we'll figure that out. And then we'll come back for the afternoon. And in the afternoon, we start with another featured speaker. Trying to nail down the schedules right now. It might be Rich, who's the car guru, who's the guy that rebuilt a Tesla from scratch. Then we go into community sessions. We'll have 3 different sessions, and essentially you have 3 tracks. So you have 9 sessions total across 3 hours. So you have an A session, a B session, and a C session, every single one here. And these are led by you. And so I already have, I think, close to 40 or 50 submissions. I need to go through those. But all of this detail and stuff is going to be coming out on the website soon. If you are interested in hosting a session, that does give you a free ticket to the event, obviously. So there's still opportunity there. And And as I mentioned, you can use the code TN20 to get 20% off the ticket price. If you have any questions or anything, do not hesitate to hit me up on Twitter, or if you go sign up for updates on the website, you'll get the ability to email me directly with any questions you have. So thank you to everyone that has already purchased tickets and all the amazing feedback I've got. It's really been helpful at helping shape this and get the most out of it. I'm really excited about it. I know a lot of you guys are as well. So I'm looking forward to this experience with you guys. Next, I want to talk about something that I think is just kind of cool. And this is the electric highway, which is going to go from Norway to Italy, which sounds like a very long way to me, not knowing much about European geography. Now, the whole idea here is, and I'll just read a statement from the company doing this, together with strong partners, we are taking a joint step towards establishing a comprehensive, ultra-fast charging infrastructure in Europe. It is a testament to our commitment to provide convenient e-mobility solutions for our customers in Europe. We see a reliable, ultra-fast charging network in combination with our home and destination solutions as main prerequisites for mass market adoption of electric mobility. So, hallelujah. I love that there are companies out there that are doing something big and bold like this, and I just can't, I'm who knows, maybe I'd love to come take a drive someday. If you guys from the company are watching and you want to invite me out there, let's talk about it. I'd love to have fun and come figure this out. Now, there are a lot of main points here, and I'll just kind of cover those briefly. The first wave of the project will cover 180 sites in Sweden, Denmark, Germany, and the United Kingdom, Italy, and France, and Norway. Clever and Eon SE received support from the EU CEF program, 10 million euros from 2017 to 2020. YX is in Norway is a facility partner to the project. The sites will be placed every 120 to 180 kilometers along motorways. So for folks in the United States, what is that? That's roughly 70 to 90 miles or so. The sites will offer 150 kilowatt charging, which is really fast, with potential for an upgrade to 350 kilowatt. So break that down for a second. Kilowatts are the speed at which you charge, right? That's how fast the juice flows. Kilowatt hours are how much you actually have. So if you have a Model S 60, that generally refers to having a 60 kilowatt hour capacity battery. Now, when you go to plug into a supercharger, depending on who else is connected to it and things like that, you, I think, get up to 140 kilowatts. So if they're talking about 150 to 350 kilowatts, you're talking about being able to refill your battery in anywhere from, on the slow end, maybe 30, 45 minutes, to the fast end of maybe 15 minutes, depending on, when you get there, how much charge you already have and stuff like that. So the first sites are under construction in both Germany and Denmark, which are cool places I would love to go visit again. The ultra-fast charging stations will be initially available for a full charge. The ultra-fast charging stations will initially enable charging of a full 400 kilometer range battery in 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. And charging time will be further reduced as charging capacity is increased and the vehicle technology develops. Great. Charging time depends on the specific car. Of course, the charging sites will be equipped with 2 to 6 chargers each. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if they're really spread out in the middle of nowhere, probably, totally fine. And the stations will offer charging with CCS, the European standard for fast charging. So I just wanted to share this. This is something I'm excited about. For a long time, the U.S. has really led the way in a lot of these things, but more and more these days, other parts of the world are the ones that are really taking a step forward. So kudos to you guys out there. And if anyone, from the company is listening and wants to make a video about it, let's talk about it. I'd love to come out and see what you guys are doing. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to the Q&A section. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen on Crowdcast. And it should go full screen there, maybe in a second. There we are. Okay. And I'm going to go jump into the questions. All right. So I'm going to make this full screen now. And there we have it. All right. So I'll give you 2 seconds here while I take a drink of water. If you're on Crowdcast, please go ask or vote on a question. And I'm just going to check. It looks like YouTube is still going. Okay. Good to go. one of the cool features here, and this is again one of the amazing things about TeslaCon, is that the replays of the sessions will be available immediately, or within 15 minutes or so, just however long it takes the video to render. And with that, all of the Q&A that all the questions that get answered, you can go back and watch that specific answer by going into the question section and clicking on View Answer. So if you're seeing my screen now, and I'll try to make it a bit bigger, so those of you watching on YouTube can really kind of see the question and stuff. When you're watching it after the fact, it's just amazing. And I've been to several of these other summits that use this platform, and I'm totally blown away with it. I think it's the most interactive and collaborative way to do it. So yeah, I'm excited about it. All right, here we go. So let's go start answering with Les. Can you explain the cost of TeslaCon? I already follow and support on Patreon. You, Zach, Jesse, Trevor. What will we learn we don't already know? I think you could see more attending if the price was $20 to $50. Yeah, absolutely. Cheaper products tend to sell more. This is meant to be more exclusive. I think I've already kind of explained the point of it. But if you wanted to break it down, you could think of it like this. If you wanted to go to the same conference in California, and you were, let's say, I don't know, in Georgia and Chicago and anywhere else, even in California, assuming the ticket price was the same, then you're going to be paying about 5 times more overall, right? Because you have to fly there, you have to rent all that stuff. So if you think about this, this would be comparable to going to an in-person conference. That would be, it's about 1/5 the price. So with that, yeah, I mean, cheaper products obviously sell more. The idea here is to actually keep it to a smaller audience, because that way what we can do is we can have more interaction and less kind of noise, right? The reason for, and just to give you an example of exactly how that works, you're asking this question here on Crowdcast, which is limited to 100 people, which makes it manageable. If we're on YouTube, right now there's 462 people watching. Sometimes I've had up to 2,000 to 3,000 people watching on YouTube. There's absolutely no way you could do this kind of thing. So really what my point is, I see this being more valuable and more inclusive and at about 1/5 the price of an in-person version. So I think it's cheaper and better. You can disagree with me, that's fine. But your point about it being, if it were cheaper, more people would buy. Yes, obviously, that's kind of how things work. So there you go. Thanks for the question. Pete asks, wheel size matters. Is there an advantage to the 19-inch wheels other than looks? It is my understanding 18-inch wheels are better, a better ride and better battery efficiency. I didn't get my Model 3 order until June, so I've got some time to ponder. Peter, I believe Electrek just posted something about this because somebody did research on it. Yeah, so just thinking about cars in general, the smaller rim is going to give you a bigger tire, which should, in theory, give you a better ride. With regard to battery efficiency, I feel like there was a point where the 19-inch wheels were better than the 18s, but then if you went above that, it really started to decline. So I would go, I think it was on Electrek. You can go check that out. I saw it recently, but I don't recall exactly where. I personally am going to go for... okay, 2 things. I have 19-inch turbines on my Model S right now, and what I want to do is I have 21-inch arachnids coming from the referral program. I want to put the 21-inch arachnids on the Model S and then put the 19-inch turbines on the Model 3. So that's my plan anyways. I'm not too worried about the battery efficiency, but again, I don't go on a lot of road trips. And even at the low end, 220 miles or whatever it actually comes out to be is plenty. In fact, right now, I only get 180 miles on mine because, I only charge it 80% each night, and it has a max range of 200. So in any regard, I'm getting an upgrade here, and so I wouldn't worry too much about it. For you, I would maybe recommend that if you are looking for going on road trips a lot, then yeah, maybe that's something to dig deeper into. But yeah, and if you do find that post, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know, because I forget where it was, but I did think it was pretty well done. Let's take a look. Now we have Crafty Geek. You have mentioned previously that you don't support unionization of Tesla workers and have, to my understanding, indicated that this stems from a more general stance opposing unionization more generally. Would you care to expand on that position either here or in a future video if you'd prefer to script and edit and ensure? Yeah, well, I'm probably not going to do a video on it. I don't think it really falls into the kind of concept that I typically make. I guess I don't understand the point of unions. My understanding of where they came from was to kind of protect workers against companies treating them like absolute shit. And since then, nowadays, I feel like the economic landscape has shifted so dramatically in the workers' favor that I don't know if you really have to work on that nearly as bad. So for example, I mean, and I guess my experience is biased from my work in the tech space, which I've been in the high tech industry since 1998. So long time now. And I never even had a concept of a union because it didn't make sense. And the reason I say that is because for us in the tech world, if our employer isn't giving us everything that we want, that's not going to last long before we quit and go somewhere else. I understand in certain parts of the world, opportunities don't exist like that and things like that. So I'm not saying that unionization is like all bad. But I'm just saying I don't understand the purpose of it, and I don't like when I see things where reportedly 12 people that were actually fired were joined by hundreds of paid volunteers from the UAW to create a protest. To me, that's kind of fake news and just bullshit, and so I don't like it. But I'm certainly not an expert on the situation. So you feel free to call me out on that. Not something I really claim to be an expert on. So, but that's my opinion, and that's kind of where it comes from. If that helps you. Arvids asks, following up on the response ticket pricing, what I would like is the ability to watch the video recordings after the fact. I live in Latvia. We have no EVs here, just starting. So the whole video on demand thing, stay tuned. We're working on that concept. I do like the idea, but I'm trying to figure out exactly what it would be. Probably once we hit our goal of 100 people, we'll be at a point where we really have to start thinking about other ways to let people in, and we're already almost halfway there. So it probably won't be long before you hear from that. So just stay on the email list is all I can say. If we keep emailing you about buying tickets, just ignore those ones because eventually there will be more bits there for you to chew on. But yeah, I appreciate the comment and I appreciate you coming back. I know we chatted about this yesterday. And hopefully it makes more sense now, right? Because I had a lot of kind of deep conversations with other people in the industry, and it really what I look at it is there's your cost and then there's the value, right? I see this as more valuable. Certainly there are things that you'll get out of a physical in-person conference that you won't get out of here, but I think there are far more things that this medium provides you that the in-person one doesn't. So I think it's more valuable, right? Then if you look at costs, the cost of going to a physical conference in California, for example, imagine what it would cost you to get there from Latvia. The flight alone would probably be a couple $1,000s, plus hotel, transportation, food, all those kind of things. So I think the cost is totally justified because the value is there. But if the comment about people comparing it to an in-person conference, yeah, absolutely. If you happen to live wherever the conference is and you don't have to pay for a flight, hotel, or food, sure, then you that may be a better deal. But 90% of the people, that wouldn't be the case. So I think this is really the best way to do it. And I'm getting a ton of positive, great feedback, mostly from people buying tickets, also people wanting to upgrade to VIP, to the criticism I really do accept is that we haven't put out enough details about it and that messaging wasn't totally clear. So I really do appreciate everything you guys are sending me here. And stay tuned because once we hit that 100-person limit, then we'll really have to start digging into other ways to include people. So thanks for the question. Glenn asks, my Model 3 order is scheduled for May 2018, but really concerned about the tax reform bill. Yep, good. Yeah, definitely should be. My state had a $2,500 credit, which is no longer offered. That's a bummer. It makes a difference between the options I purchase. I definitely need larger battery, New England winters. You messed me up there. And premium upgrades, 19-inch wheels, etc. What is your recommendation about the enhanced fully autonomous driving? Okay. Well, I think the EAP, the enhanced autopilot, the convenience features as they call them, totally worth it if you drive on the freeway or anything like that. But the full self-driving, I'm a little skeptical on. Other than Elon did have a comment recently where he was talking about. Or it was, I think it was in the earnings call where he was saying something about that you need to buy the full self-driving up front. Otherwise, later you'll obviously have to pay $1,000 more for it, but you also may have to pay for additional hardware. Now he reiterated that he thinks you can get it with the existing hardware, but if there is additional hardware that needs to be added, you'll have to pay for that in addition to it unless you buy it up front. So. Yeah, I mean, if you're really into it, I'm more skeptical about it than probably most people, especially folks in this industry or that have channels like this. To me, I really think we're still 5-10 years out at best, maybe even 15 to 20 years before we honestly get level 5 autonomy. Now, before you jump on me and tell me about Waymo and their whole thing, yes, I get that. I do think that what we'll see are a lot of little kind of, let's say a bus on a university which has a known route and the roads are really well done and it never goes above 15 miles an hour. I think those things we'll start seeing a lot of very, very soon. But getting in my car and having it drive me to San Francisco without touching the wheel, I think is years away. Now, I'm obviously not as informed as Elon is, but he also tends to overpromise on a lot of things. So we'll really see kind of how it plays out. I wouldn't do the full autonomous driving, but talk to your representative and stuff like that. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for the question, Glenn. Mel asks, as someone with no truck expertise, I wonder why the trailer of the 16-wheeler can't be loaded up with enough batteries to provide. Yes, thank you. Now, I'm not sure if you got that from me talking to Franz about it. If you haven't seen this on Kim from Like Tesla, their channel, they got a video of me talking to Franz at the Model 3 event about this idea. And my whole dream, which I'm still holding on to, is to, get the semi-truck, somehow make the trailer out of batteries. So you could go thousands of miles, potentially, put a tiny house on top of it, make it a pure solar, so maybe it takes a long time to fill up, but it's essentially self-sufficient, and then put like some really young, attractive people in there, make it like a reality show. I think that's a great idea. We'll see if it's possible. Honestly, if something like that is possible, I would not be shocked if we don't see a media company do this, because the cost of that kind of setup wouldn't really be that much compared to, let's say, making a movie or any other reality show. So anyways, I did, though, however, hear about, somebody I think commented on this saying that one of the challenges would be that if you did fill it up with batteries, then it may not fit the standard sizing of storage containers, and then that would essentially be a problem. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that you have a ton of real estate to work with there, so why not do it? Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for the question, Mel, and thanks for coming back. Good to hear from you. Vic asks, same question, right format. When I configure my Model 3, if I purchase the $3,000 full self-driving capability and I trade in my Model 3 for another Tesla before it becomes available, do you think it would be transferred? Yeah, I think you asked this yesterday. So I don't think that feature would be transferable. I think it would just be part of the value of the car. Now, you could probably make a strong argument, and they may work with you on that. I know they don't do discounts and things, but they may work with you on that because that is kind of a thing, right? Now, I'm going to be doing something similar when I think I'm going to, what I'm going to do, my plan, so you guys know, and I haven't really talked about this much, is to buy my Model 3, which is slated for this year, hopefully, or early next year. Then I will, I will go from there and have it for a few months, do a ton of videos, and sell it. And then buy another one in May or something, which I think is when my second reservation is. And then I'll get the all-wheel drive performance model, etc., all those kind of fun things. So there you go. So that's my thoughts on that. More to come, and stay tuned because there'll be lots of fun stuff coming up. Jim asks, do you think the tax cut simplification legislation winding its way through the House and Senate may have a strong positive impact on the overall economy as well as some individual taxpayers? Also, do you think that the EV industry is ready to go toe-to-toe with the ICE vehicles and compete on a level economic playing field, or are special incentives still necessary? Okay, so I mean, I think I'm teasing out some of what you think is right and wrong here, but let me just give you my thoughts on it, and hopefully, hopefully they make sense. I don't think it's good for most individual taxpayers. It's definitely not good for small businesses like myself. Even one of my really good friends, John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com, he has a great YouTube channel. He's been sort of a mentor to me here on this whole online content creation thing. Me and him have wildly different opinions about politics and lots of things, right? So he likes President Trump, and he supports him, I guess. But he's also rational, and so looking at it, we were just talking, and he was saying that he thinks it'll be really bad for small businesses, so he doesn't like the plan either. So I don't know what to say about the plan. From what I've read and from even talking to people like that who have completely different opinions than I do, it doesn't sound like it's a good deal for individuals or small businesses. It sounds like it's a great deal for very wealthy and large corporations, which I'm not generally, in favor of giving my tax dollars to them. Then on to your question about the competing on a level playing field. Yeah, I've commented on this before, and that there have been some people that do research on it. What's it called? Stop funding fossils, I think, because in their research shows, forgive me if it's wrong by a little bit, but every year that the oil and gas industry gets about $44 billion in subsidies. And so if you took that away, gas prices in the United States would jump up somewhere between $6 and $8. And so if the question is, are we going to remove the subsidies? Yes, then I would love to do that, because that would crush the oil and gas kind of prices here. And by the way, if you aren't familiar, we have some of the cheapest gas in the world, and that's all because it's subsidized through all the different kind of tax breaks and things that these companies get. So if we could really eliminate subsidies for all of these kind of special interests, or whatever you want to call them, then yeah, that would be great. I would love to see that, because I think it would really, skyrocket EV adoption. Regardless of that, though, if we just took away the EV one, I really don't know if it, like I said, I don't think it's going to affect Tesla hardly at all. It definitely will hurt GM the most. And that doesn't seem like something people want to do. So it's a good question. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it'd be interesting if we said, like, let's just wipe out all the incentives for all these things, But personally, I believe that we should incentivize things. Like, I believe in what's called a Pergovian tax. I don't know if you've researched this, but basically taxing things at a higher rate, which the production costs aren't fully absorbed by the consumption of the products. A good example is cigarettes, right? If you allow, if cigarettes secondhand smoke causes cancer and other health problems to people that had nothing to do with the production or consumption of the product, and then that cost leads to increased healthcare costs. So, plans like me, it looks like I'm going to pay over $1,000 a month for insurance for me and my family. Those premiums start to go up because of something like cigarettes, right? Because that's having a larger impact on the economy than is absorbed in the pricing of the production consumption. So if we look at that, you could also translate that same concept here to CO2. And so not even talking about EVs and regular ICE vehicles, just talking about production of things, companies that burn a lot emit a lot of CO2. I would be in favor of taxing the hell out of those things and eliminating things like the income tax and the corporate income tax, and completely, the things we want, right? We want people to make money. We want companies to make money. I think, those aren't activities you should tax. I think those should be totally tax-free, and you should tax the things which have a larger impact on the economy, such as CO2 emissions. So, I could go on and on about my theories there. I'm a bit of a radical in some ways, but I don't really subscribe to any one philosophy, so I'm always open to ideas. If you do have other thoughts on that, articles, please send them over. I love reading that kind of stuff, because it's really interesting to think, Thanks, Jim. Crafty Geek, is it potentially feasible with the right connection hardware, a new style of connection port to power a home off of Model S or X battery? I'd gladly purchase a wall charging unit that could draw from the car if when needed to essentially use my Tesla battery as a power wall at a high percentage of the price point. Interesting. Is it possible? Sure. And I believe that to be true because there are some electric vehicles out there that are designed for this, where they give energy back to the grid. So yeah, totally is possible. I don't know if a Tesla car is really the right answer. But yeah, I mean, somebody might figure that out, which, again, it'd be weird to me because you'd have to fill it up from somewhere. So, but yeah, that'd be kind of cool if you were like, say, camping and you can just plug it into your car and have this like, whole, little station with a radio or something like that. So yeah, let me know if you find it. That'd be pretty awesome. Gary asks, what's up with Tesla Solar? Almost no mention on the earnings call and no specs on the website. I just signed a local sun power installer, but would like to compare Tesla's products. Yeah, it's a good question. In fact, Ashley from Travel Lushes, she has a good channel, and I have it linked in mine as a featured channel. Her and her husband are doing a house. They're building it from scratch, and they were looking into this as well. She's talking about that. I agree. It seems like those things are all down the road. I know when I looked at a solar roof and even the solar panels for my house before I bought mine, it was very kind of difficult to get details and just what wasn't really competitive. So hopefully they can turn that around. I have read some reports about the solar plant in Buffalo not really being what they had hoped it would be. So we'll see. Maybe that could be the cause. But yeah, good luck with your install, and hopefully we can figure more about that out soon. I certainly love talking about that stuff because I think it's once you get an EV, it makes 100% sense in my eyes to go that route. So thanks for the question, Gary. Alan asks, I've sent you a couple links for potential speaker at your event. It was a Tesla owner that drove an S around the world last summer. That's cool. They had an objective of 80 days and did it. Did you get my earlier suggestions? I think I have. Sorry if I haven't replied. I do have a lot of stuff to still go through, and I've been kind of heads down on all the operational aspects of getting it going. But yeah, stay tuned, and I'll try to respond to that soon. Yeah, Arvid's comment. I'd never go to a conference in California or USA in general from Latvia. I'll have to sell my organs. Yeah, I mean, so whether or not you can afford the thing, hopefully you agree that the price we're asking for it is reasonable when you compare it to an in-person conference. So yeah. Adrian asks, where would they construct the truck? Thank you for asking, because that is the big question in my head still, and I am dying to find out if they are going to talk about that at all. If there's a Q&A section, which I don't know if there will be, or if I get the chance to actually meet Elon, I would love to ask him that question, because to me, that's the biggest question mark here. I mean, they're talking about doing a plant in China, but that is, from what I understand, just for Model 3 and a small production really just for the Chinese market. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think they either need to retrofit one or retrofit a new one, or potentially expand at Fremont. The Fremont right now, as far as I understand, is bursting at the seams, according to what Elon said. When I visited, there was not an inch of space that wasn't being used for something. So, yeah, we'll see. That's a real big question. Thanks for bringing that up, and stay tuned. John asks, do you find the comparison to the aircraft autopilot unhelpful? An Airbus Autopilot flight management nav system is way more complex, not completely hands-off and automated. Yeah, do I find it unhelpful? I don't know. I think conceptually it makes sense, or like what people's general understanding of autopilot for an airplane is versus like what they think a Tesla car can do, I believe is probably makes sense to a lot of people. You're right, and my brother is a pilot, and I've talked to him about this, and he kind of chuckles when I say things like that. So maybe to people that are in the know about how things work in planes, that seems weird, but to the general public, I think it probably is helpful and makes sense. By the way, I have an amazing recommendation. Oh my God, what's his name? Hold on a second. Let me just Captain Joe? Is it Captain Joe? I'm just searching on YouTube real quick. Yeah. Okay. So there's a YouTuber who is a pilot, I guess, and he has a channel called Captain Joe, and it is incredible. I'm not a pilot. I don't plan to be a pilot. I don't care. It's incredible. Like he does videos like, can a passenger really land a plane? And he takes someone he knows into a flight simulator and then walks them through landing the plane. They do land it successfully, but in the end, they're kind of like, yeah, there's no way. They like, for example, how do you even sit in the cockpit and communicate with air traffic control? How do you even like turn on the microphone? Took them, they said, like 25 minutes. So go watch that. I'm fascinated by it, and I just love his stuff. So yeah, go check that out. Hey, Sai. Yes, TeslaCon is on Crowdcast. That's right. Let me know if you want an invite. If you guys aren't familiar, Sai, I believe you're the founder, CEO, I don't know, of Crowdcast. So love the platform, man. Hoping that HD recording and all that is totally ready by then. It's December 16th. So shoot me a note, man. I'd love to chat with you about it. Crafty Geek, Solar City used to have solar bonds program, which was ended, paid out early short after their merger with Tesla. Any knowledge if Tesla will reinstitute a similar program or other companies who offer such investment deal? I do not. I'm unfamiliar with that deal, and I'm not sure. I know Tesla is offering junk bonds now, but I'm not sure if that's the same thing that you're referring to or not. So yeah, maybe stay tuned or hit up Tesla themselves. Good question. Adrian asks, regarding the choice of a charging station for the home/garage, assuming that you have 240 service, which brand would you recommend? Well, okay, so if you're talking about a Tesla, the Tesla wall charger is probably the best one to go with. Looks the best. It already works. Other than that, I just have the NEMA 1450 outlet, which has a 240 40 amps, I believe it is. And that, with the mobile connector. Now, I would argue, I would kind of lean on how nice is your garage. My garage is a disaster. And so, like there's no drywall, it's just totally raw and whatever. So I don't care. But if you have a nice one, I would probably go with the wall connector from Tesla. I know that other people have other recommendations, but for me, that's what I would go, just because I'd want it to kind of match the experience and all that. Alrighty, thank you everyone for the questions. It looks like we have some new people here. I just wanted to pull up the poll here. Another cool feature is that you get to answer questions from the speaker, and then that can even guide their presentations. For example, on the pre-conference workshop, what we're going to do is at the very beginning, we're going to start asking people, hey, what kind of EV do you have? Do you have a Model 3 reservation, yada, yada. And then that will guide the presentation. So that way it is much more tailored to be more relevant for you. So yeah, there you have it. I appreciate everyone's feedback and everyone that just joined me here today. Later this week, as I mentioned, I'm going to the Tesla semi-truck unveiling. So stay tuned for my first impressions video and then my vlog after that. And other than that, just remember, when you free the data, your mind will follow. Thanks for watching again.